What do you call a group of Karens? An HOA. Today, we're going to talk about everyone's least favorite subject, the HOA. First up, what even is an HOA? An HOA is a governing organization that oversees a group of residences. That can be a subdivision, could be a condo association, a group of townhomes. An HOA typically consists of homeowners who are elected by their neighbors to help govern this organization on their behalf. What does an HOA do? Their primary function is to enforce the CC&Rs of a neighborhood. That's going to be our codes, conditions, and restrictions. Those are often developed by the builder when the neighborhood is initially being built. And after the builder has completed the neighborhood, he or she is going to pass off that book of neighborhood codes, conditions, and restrictions off to the neighborhood themselves so that they can then begin to self-manage as an HOA. So what is in that language? That's going to be the rules that everyone wants to know. What do I have to follow to live in this neighborhood? That can be anything from the maintenance and upkeep of the exterior of the home, talking about landscaping, how long your grass is, what color your shutters are. All of those kinds of restrictions can exist. There are also often parking restrictions, how many vehicles you can have, whether or not you're allowed to park on the street, can you park in the driveway overnight, can you have the name of a company or a business on the outside of your vehicle. These are often the types of things we see in HOA restrictions. Sometimes there are going to be pet restrictions, especially in condominium communities where there might be a shared wall. They're going to restrict the number of pets you can have, the size of your pets. And again, especially in shared wall situations, we talk about noise restrictions. So there may be curfews in place, for example, to where noise can't exceed a certain amount after a certain time, for example. Oftentimes, they're going to be managing the shared amenities of the community. So if the community has a swimming pool, for example, they are managing and maintaining that pool, clubhouse, tennis courts, playgrounds. All of those things are common with some HOAs, and they have to be managed and kept up. And so that governing body that is a collection of our neighbors that we've elected into those positions is in charge of making sure that those things are maintained. Now, because that can sometimes be a big job and collecting fees from neighbors can be a big job, oftentimes you'll see an HOA contract with a property management company in order to service these types of things, be able to find the contractors to service things as needed, and to be able to help with the payment side of collecting HOA fees from each one of the residents in the neighborhood. So then that leads to, outside of what are the rules, everyone's next question is what are the costs? And frankly, the costs vary. So let's look first at a residential subdivision like this. In a residential subdivision of single family freestanding homes, the range we see in the Louisville market for HOA fees at the bottom end, maybe $50 a year. And at the high end, maybe $1,500 a year. And when it comes to HOA fees, you kind of get what you pay for. So if you buy into a subdivision where the HOA fee is $50 to $100 a year, you're not going to get a lot from that HOA. They might be maintaining the front entrance, keeping street lights on, that sort of thing. They're not going to be heavily invested in what's going on at your house necessarily. Now, if you're buying into a neighborhood where the HOA fees are more than $1,000 a year, that means you probably have some amenities that have to be kept up. There might be a lot more common area space that has to be maintained, flower beds, landscaping, that sort of thing. They may have a pool, tennis courts, playgrounds. All of those things cost obviously a lot more money, and so therefore the HOA fee annually is a lot higher. In some residential single-family neighborhoods like this, we're seeing more and more often that they are offering landscape service on a regular basis, meaning that the company that the HOA hires to do the mowing for the neighborhood will also mow all of the individual property owners' lots as well. And those obviously can have an expense to them. I see those typically in Louisville. $200 to $300 a month is what you would pay in a neighborhood that is going to offer that level of service. So we've been talking about single family residences where the cost is measured annually, typically, like I said, $50 to $1,500 a year. But when you move into a condominium association, that cost often escalates significantly and becomes a monthly fee. Condominium associations cover a whole lot more because typically we're in a situation where the roof is shared, the exterior of the building is shared among multiple residents. And of course, in a condominium, the homeowner doesn't own the land that the property is improved on. So all of the exterior groundskeeping, all of the maintenance of the community falls on the homeowners association to maintain. And so HOA fees in condo associations typically tend to be a lot higher. They're also going to include more. Oftentimes in Louisville, we see them including the water, sewer, and trash pickup for that neighborhood. They also often cover the roof structure and the insurance on the building and the property itself. That's going to protect you from storms, from massive rain events and things like that that might damage the roof or the outside of the property is going to be covered by the HOA's insurance policy rather than your personal homeowner's insurance. So when we get into condo communities in Louisville, that fee tends to look more like, yeah, they can start around $200 a month and they can get, I mean, I've seen them as high as $3,000 a month. And in those circumstances, you're going to receive a lot of amenities. We're talking about delivering your groceries to your door, removing your trash from your home, all of those types of things. Very high end um, buildings downtown where you would have a lot of high level service. You're probably going to have a gym and a pool and things like that in the building as well. But for a standard condo freestanding community, those are typically going to be between $200 and $500 a month. But they do significantly lessen the the homeowner's bills because you're not paying a water sewer bill, you're not paying a trash bill, and you're not going to be paying nearly so much for your homeowner's insurance because a big chunk of your homeowner's insurance is covering the outside of the property under that HOA policy. I hope that gives you some real numbers that you can use when you are figuring the cost of your home ownership, because it's definitely a cost that you want to account for when you are deciding what your budget is and you're looking to purchase a home. So last but not least, there are obviously benefits and detriments to living in an HOA. I have worked with everybody who says, I don't want to be in an HOA or I love being in an HOA. And there are pluses and minuses to living in an HOA at any level, whether it be a single family home with a very small HOA or a condo with a very expensive HOA. There are benefits and there are obviously detriments. The benefits are things like making sure that everything looks really nice. You know, an HOA is responsible for the upkeep of the neighborhood. So if you are living in an HOA, you should feel like your money is going toward making sure that your surroundings are kept in really great condition. And because they're kept in really great condition, that is going to help keep your property value higher. Another benefit is that if there are amenities with your HOA, even though you're paying a lot for them, you're probably not paying as much as you would pay to attend a tennis club and get a pool membership and have walking trails and all the other things that they offer. Those expenses individually would very likely be higher than the cost of your annual HOA. So you're receiving a lot of amenities at a lower cost. We can't talk about the benefits though without talking about the downside. And this is where people really want to steer clear from HOAs. They really are well known for taking away some of your personal freedoms when it comes to living in and how you live in your home. They're going to have restrictions on how you park your car and how you keep your weeds trimmed and how low you keep your lawn. All of these things can make people feel like they're handcuffed when it comes to what they can and cannot do in their home. Some other downsides, of course, fees can increase over time. So while you may have budgeted to live at one specific level, as amenities are added or things change or just simply with inflation over time, those fees can increase. So you need to plan that there are going to be small annual increases in your HOA fees. And last but not least would be, of course, back to the beginning here, they can be poorly managed. There can be fighting among neighbors, and that can create an environment that really makes it not fun to live there. So do your homework when you're purchasing a home. Interview neighbors if you can. Talk to past residents if you can. Anybody that you might know who has lived in the neighborhood, who knows somebody who lives in the neighborhood, to get a feel for how the HOA is managed and what your life in that neighborhood would be like. At the Symphony Group, we have worked in neighborhoods all over the city of Louisville and Southern Indiana. We know a lot about these HOAs. We have good contacts to help you find your perfect key. For more information, please reach out to us at symphonyrealtygroup@gmail.com.